here is the moment of truth. Did the icing transfers work? Can I take them off of the sheet? Let's see. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no. I don't think they worked. Well, oh shoot, it's cracking. Are they not completely dry? Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. Oh dear. I don't have the best luck with these. So it seems like maybe they didn't completely dry. Yikes. I mean, it's been a long time. Well, definitely over 24 hours. Not quite 48 hours yet, but it's been a couple days. These are not wanting to come off of here. Darn it. So I did have a little luck in the past with sticking them in the freezer for a minute when they didn't want to come off, so maybe I will try that. This is frustrating. The whole icing transfer thing is really great. When they work, it's awesome. But when they don't work, it's a lot of effort for a failure, you know? Darn. Yeah, these are just not dry. Ugh. This one. This one's perfect. That, no residue at all. Oh my gosh. The heart is a mess. It's all cracking up. The moon is cracking up. The balloon is cracking up. The pot of gold is cracking up. The U is cracking up. Ugh. Jeez. Darn it. Frustrating. Alright, so maybe I will try sticking this sheet in the freezer for a minute and see if that'll help get them off cleanly. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 off of the first sheet successfully. And as you can see, the Shamrock is the only one that came completely clean off of the plastic. The Shooting Star left residue, the Rainbow left residue, the Hat left residue, and the Star left residue. And I think that's because all of these were not completely dry yet. So I ran into this before when I was making the Girl Scout cookie, the Girl Scout logos transfers for the cookies, and with those, I mean, they never dried. I left them for like 4 days or something, and they still never dried. I have read that sometimes when you have too much coloring in the icing, it can give it a consistency that doesn't dry completely, or maybe just takes a lot longer to dry. So maybe because these had a lot of coloring, although I don't feel like I put that much food coloring in the icings for these, but who knows, maybe that's part of the issue. Let's cross our fingers and hope that the sheet that I just stuck in the freezer, that I'll be able to get those off more easily. It's so frustrating when you put this much work into something and then it doesn't work out, you know? And I mean, it is possible that I could still stick this one in the freezer if it works with the other one and get these off, even though they're cracked. I might be able to salvage them and then put them on cookies. Let's hope. Let's hope. All right, so I'm going to take the other sheet out of the freezer in just a minute, but I'll show you. Here's, let's see, my scribe that I have for working with the icing, and then I have my outline here ready to go, and my flood. I was just gonna do a simple white background so that I wasn't competing with the colors of these Lucky Charms transfers, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. And then I have my cookies. I was you know, hoping to be able to do all 22 cookies with the Lucky Charms on them. Might not work out that way. I do still have some leftover colored icing that I could use to maybe pipe directly onto the cookies. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so it's been a few minutes. I'm gonna take that out of the freezer and we'll see what we've got. Are we gonna be lucky for St. Patrick's Day? Do we have the luck? Let's see. Is the luck with us? Ooh, all right. Got the star. Got the hat. Oh, I think the freezer is helping. Got the rainbow. Got the heart. Shooting star. Shamrock. Oh my gosh. I might need to stick it back in the freezer for a minute. They're starting to thaw out. But it worked. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna stick it back in the freezer for these last 4 because they were starting to act like they wanted to crack. So I'll give it just another minute. Because that worked, I'm gonna stick this one in the freezer as well and see if I can salvage some of these. So it's one interesting thing is that you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but when they come out of the freezer, they're really shiny. Like I think somehow being in the freezer, although it freezes them, it also makes them kind of melt a little bit. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I might want to set these with the fan going on them just to make sure that they're dry before I try and handle them and stick them on the cookies. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that. I'll put these under the fan and get out another sheet just to make sure these are dry. Here's some of my cookies. I had stored these in the freezer to keep them fresh because if you wrap up cookies really well and seal them up in freezer safe packaging, I actually wrapped these in plastic wrap and then put them in a Ziploc freezer bag and then put them in a Tupperware container. So they had triple layer protection, and having them in the freezer keeps them really fresh for a long time. So that's what I did because I made these a couple of weeks ago. Okay, I'm back. So I was able to get a lot of these icing transfers dried out. These are flipped over on their back right now because I felt like they were still a little bit wet on the underside, so I just wanted them to have a chance to dry out as much as possible on that underside. But you can see they're flipped over right now waiting, but these are the ones that are mostly fine and ready to go on the cookies. The other ones are still so wet, but I flipped them over onto their backs as well, and they're drying under the fan in the other room. So hopefully they'll get dry enough that I can at least transfer them onto the cookies. But I'm gonna go ahead and start putting these on the cookies while the other ones are drying. And I think that what my camera cut off earlier, but I think what I was saying when that happened was just that the whole icing transfer thing is pretty frustrating, and I'm not sure if it's really worth it. What a lot of people do is they get a projector and use that, and that way you can trace the image, but you can trace the image directly onto the cookie, which obviously is better because then you don't have to deal with this whole drama of, oh my gosh, will it dry? How long will it take to dry? Will I be able to get the icing transfers off? You don't have to deal with any of that because you're putting it directly into the cookie. And so maybe I should look into the whole projector situation. All right, now, I had created this this icing a couple days ago. This is my outlining consistency, and I think it dried out a little bit in the tip here, so it's having a hard time getting out. I don't know what to do about this. Oh no. So many things going wrong today. It's St. Patrick's Day. There's supposed to be luck of the Irish, right? Where's all my luck? Why is my luck not with me today? Alright, so I'm sticking the scribe into the tip, trying to kind of loosen things up. It's just really not wanting to come out. But perhaps if I keep squeezing. See, the problem is I did not use a coupler on this. I just simply stuck the tip right in the end of the bag because I just thought it would be easier. And I think I kind of ran out of couplers because I was using them all for the other bags of the colors. But I'm trying to squeeze this icing out of here to get it to the point where I can get past the stuff that's really thick and not wanting to come out. I mean, I'm squeezing so hard that I might pop a hole in the bag. Gosh. What the heck? Let's try again. Ugh. This just does not want to come out at all. I might have to squeeze this into a brand new bag at this point because it's just really not. I'm gonna give it one more effort here. See if I can get past this. Come on. Oh, and the bag broke. Nice. What in the world? Gosh. Why did I do that? Ugh, what a mess. All right, so you know what that means. I'm gonna forget the whole outline and flood thing. I'm just gonna go use my flood consistency to do the outline and flooding, and the heck with this because these are just for fun anyway. It's just for my family. And I don't feel like whipping up a whole new batch. So I'm gonna throw this one away, wash off this tip, then just go straight to the flooding. Cool. I have my green shirt on today for St. Patrick's Day. See, I'm lucky. I have the luck of the Irish with me. All right, let's do a little snip. If I do it small enough, perhaps it will still work out for me. You will see. We'll see what happens. All right, here we go. So now with this, the key is you gotta put the icing transfer on top while it's still wet so that it acts as glue and it sticks. So, all right, we'll start down here. I mean, and I've done this before. I mean, using the flood to outline and fill one consistency. and it's fine. The problem with it is that because you're using one consistency, you run the risk of it overflowing off the cookie. There's just a more likely chance of that happening. And the other issue is that it can be more, so right now what I'm running into is I cut the tip pretty small because it's better to have a small tip for the outline, but for flooding it's going to take way too long to flood this whole cookie with such a tiny tip. So I'm just going to have to cut it bigger, and that's where it starts to get a little bit more risky as far as running off the edge of the cookie. Because when you're outlining and flooding with a larger band of icing, it can get a little messier, but that's okay. And it's still a little bit smaller of a tip than would be optimal for flooding, just because this is taking longer. Like if I had this tip even bigger, I could flood this cookie twice as fast. Now, here's another thing that I just realized. These bags that I'm using are not the correct kind that everybody's recommending. So what I'm supposed to be using is called a tipless icing bag. And I thought that just meant using an icing bag without putting a metal tip in it. But apparently there are actual different type of bag that is literally called a tipless icing bag, and it's made of like a completely different kind of plastic. All right, hold on. Let's see. Okay, first one is the heart. Ta-da! Got it on. All right, moving on. We're doing good, we're doing good. Anyway, so the tipless icing bags are a different kind of plastic that actually I think is a little bit stretchier, which means that when you squeeze harder, you can actually control the flow of the icing and make it come out either in smaller or larger ribbons. Whereas with this kind of icing bag that I'm using, it doesn't necessarily matter how hard I squeeze, it pretty much just comes out the same thickness all the time. And that's because of the type of plastic this is that doesn't have any give to it. So I ordered some of the official real tipless icing bags, and they should be arriving maybe today or tomorrow. So I will be really curious to try those out and see how they might improve my ability to work with icing on my next batch of cookies. There we go. Shake that out a little bit. Beautiful. Time for a star. Nice. All right, we're doing good, we're doing good. Maybe the luck of the Irish is with us after all. One thing that I've seen people do is doing the flood all the way up to the very edge of the cookie. And that does look really nice. And maybe that's something that I will be able to do once I get these tipless icing bags. Maybe a little bit here, I missed a spot. this icing is a pretty great consistency right now, because you can see it's liquidy enough that I really don't have to go back and do a lot of smoothing out. One little jiggle for the little spot in the center, and it's done and smooth. Because you can see it's completely smoothing itself out as I go. And so by the time I get to the end, it's just boop, 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 and then ta-da, finished. And I'm not even worrying about the little air bubble that might be in the middle, although there is none on this. It completely smoothed itself out because I'm covering it up with the icing transfer anyway. So I think these are going to end up being pretty cute after all my trouble. I think that doing a different background color might have actually been a nice idea. Some pastels in the background, a little pastel rainbow of colors for the backgrounds probably would have looked really nice instead of this just plain white background, giving them a little bit of something extra to pop out. But that's all right. Hopefully they'll end up looking pretty cute anyway. And I have my other rainbow cookies as part of this set that'll kind of complement these and add some of that bright pop of color variety. So I think all together as a set, when I take pictures of them, I think they'll all look pretty nice in the end, complementing each other with a variety of colors. And these will be a little bit more plain, except that they have the Lucky Charms marshmallow images, which make them pretty cute. Okay. Another cookie flooded. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And let's do the unicorn head. Da, 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 da. Look at that. I'm so excited. These are ending up pretty good. I don't know how well you can see them because the camera's kind of far away. But I'll get some good pictures of these when they're all done, and I'll post them at the end of the video. The final pictures of these, along with all the other rainbow cookies that I made for this St. Patrick's Day set. I'm also really curious to see whether anybody enjoys watching a video like this, where I'm working in real time and talking while I'm working, because this is going to be like a long video to watch. And I don't even know, I'm just shooting this on an iPhone, so is the audio quality even going to be good? Can you even hear me talking? I don't know. We'll see. Or will people prefer those quick little time lapses like I did of the other part of the process? I don't know. We'll see. All right, what have I not done yet? The shamrock. Shamrock. Look at that. We're looking good. Head on over to this side. So I'm thinking the next step in my process of acquisitions and trying out new things may be the projector. Because tracing an image is really the only way to be perfect at it. Trying to freehand stuff is just simply too hard. When you have the ability to trace something you can make it look pretty amazing. And that's what the transfers gives you, but that's also what the projector gives you. So I think that might be next up on my list of things to try. Let's check this out. And let's try a rainbow. Look at that. Nice. All right, I think I'm gonna move some of these cookies around. I like working right in front. So I'm gonna stack up the undone cookies. Give myself a little bit more workspace here. And I will move these up to the top to dry. Okay. All right, we'll just do 5 here. So one of the tips that I have learned about is this idea of keeping the icing bag up above the cookie, not down close to it, because you actually have more control over where the icing falls on the cookie when you're up high, which is kind of counterintuitive, but it actually works. It's accurate. I think I'm gonna run out of icing. I can feel my icing levels in this bag getting lower as I'm flooding these cookies. And there's no way that I'm going to make it through 22 cookies with this one bag. So I'm gonna end up having to mix up another batch of flood icing in order to finish the set. And that's fine. It gives the other icing transfers a little bit more time to dry so that they're usable. Shake, shake. All right, what have we not done yet? The moon. And I think the shooting star and the pot of gold are the last two that I haven't put on a cookie yet. I don't have the purple horseshoes in here because both of those ended up being really wet, and so they're on the boards drying in the other room. And I don't have any of the red balloons in here either because those also ended up being really wet. Got everything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's it. So there's 11 different images. And I did 2 of each, which is why I'm making 22 cookies. And I was kind of thinking with my little leftover colored icings that I have, I might go through and try and add a little bit of like border, colorful border designs on some of the cookies when I'm all done with this, just to give them a little extra something and use up some of the extra colors that I have left for fun. I'm not sure. We'll see. All right, so there is a little, is that going away on its own? There. Just a little air bubble right there. That's fine. Okay, so pot of gold, here we come. There. Squeezing it down from the top. Now I like to use my heat sealer to seal the tops of these icing bags. I really love that. That's one of my favorite uses of my new heat sealer. I got the heat sealer with the purpose of sealing the cellophane bags that each of the cookies gets stored in for packaging, which is great because apparently it keeps the cookies fresh for much longer. So apparently your cookies will stay fresh for maybe up to a week or so if you just keep them in, you know, a Ziploc bag or Tupperware container or something like that at room temperature. But if you heat seal them in the cellophane bag, they can stay fresh for like 2 or maybe even 3 weeks at room temperature, which is fantastic. And I love how the little bags look. They look like something that you got from a fancy store or a professional bakery or something like that. Especially when you add the little cardstock tags on the top of each of them. I mean, that's just great packaging in my opinion. Worth it. Worth the effort. But, okay, and here's the shooting star. But the other use that I really like with the heat sealer is sealing these icing bags, because it works, man. You seal it and the icing just stops. It does not burst through the top. You don't have to worry, about icing leaking out the top of the bag. So that was always one of the things that I hated about dealing with these piping bags, because I've used them in the past for cookie decorating and cake decorating, and I hated the mess of the icing or the frosting squeezing out the top of the bags. And even if you know, bunch it up really well, twist it around really well, seal it with a rubber band, whatever you do, you always have some icing that ends up squeezing out the top and leaking out because it's not completely sealed. And that drove me crazy because I don't like that. I don't like dealing with mess. And so that's why I love being able to heat seal the tops of these bags. Not only is there no mess because it doesn't squeeze out the top at all, ever, but it keeps the icing fresh. So you can make it, you know, a day or so in advance and just leave it in its little bag, and it's completely sealed so it doesn't get dried out, and it's ready for you to use whenever you are ready to use it. And I like that a lot. Okay. Let's do another rainbow. Now my concern and what I'm wondering is, I wonder if these new piping bags that I'm getting, the tipless, the official tipless bags that I'm getting in the mail, I wonder if, because those are a different type of plastic, I wonder if I'll still be able to heat seal them, or if the heat sealer might be too hot for that type of plastic. It might just melt it. Because I never see anybody online using a heat sealer to seal their bags like I do. They always just tie a knot in the top or use a little bag sealer clip. And that could be because maybe these tipless bags are just too fragile to use the heat sealer. In which case that would be sad. So we will see. I'll definitely try it. One thing that I have realized is that sealing these bags, I have to use a much lower setting on the heat sealer. I use a number 2, as opposed to when I seal the cellophane bags, I use a 3. Because with the cellophane bags, a 2 is not enough. It doesn't seal them. Like you can just pull them right open. They're not sealed shut. But with these icing bags, if I use a level 3, it's too hot and it melts it and it breaks it apart. So I know for a fact that different types of plastic deal with the heat sealing differently. And I have a feeling that this plastic bags for the tipless piping bags is going to be a lot more fragile and thin because of the fact that it's more stretchy. So anyway, that is something I will test out for sure. I'm running low on icing. The bag's getting close to empty. I'm definitely gonna have to create another bag here. Luckily I have more icing, I just have to water it down and bag it up. But I made a bunch of extra the last time. And I have to say, this whole outlining and flooding with the same bag, it's going just fine. And it is faster, so it's all right. It worked out fine. Although, like I said, if I had been able to use the other bag for the outline, then I could have cut the tip on this one much larger for flooding, which would have also saved time. So maybe it's a trade-off. Squeeze the icing down in the bag. think we're coming to the end of our bag here. The icing is getting really low in here. This might be the last cookie I can do. And then I have to whip up more flood. Yeah. This is pretty much it. Shake, 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 shake. And there's our little leprechaun hat. All right, so I'm gonna move this out of the way so that I can whip up some icing. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze the rest of this icing into the bowl because no need to waste it. Might as well salvage the end of it. Okay, that's it. Now, this is my other. So this stuff's pretty thick. And I don't remember how many cookies I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is kind of the consistency right now of like a store-bought can of frosting. So definitely needs to be thinned down a bit in order to squeeze it out of the bag and flood some cookies with it. I don't know, is that enough? I don't want to have to do this again, so I might go a little bit extra just to make sure I have enough to get me through to the end. There. I think that's probably good. And I like to cover it with plastic wrap in the container here just to keep it from crusting over. Okay. Oh, jeez. It's okay. It didn't break. Nothing spilled. Throw this away. Now the way to add water to your icing is slowly and a very small amount at a time. Because a little bit of water in icing can go a really long way and change the texture really fast. That's what everybody says. So I'm going to do, this is a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon right here, and I'm just going to do, I didn't do all of it. I did like 5 drops. Because I'm not really an expert on this area, and I don't want it to get too thin where it's running off the edge of the cookie and making a mess. Because the only way to really thicken it up would be I'd have to mix in more powdered sugar, and that would be fine. I've done that, but it's also a pain, so I don't want to have to do it. So I got these little spatulas on Amazon, and they're fantastic. Before, I was mixing my icings with spoons, And these are just so much better because it's an actual little rubber scraper spatula. So I can scrape all the sides of the bowl and I don't get any icing left in the bowl with the spoon because you can just clean it off right there on the edge of the bowl and then scrape it all back down in there again. It's pretty great. Came in a set of 4 pretty colors and very useful. Okay, so it is definitely getting better, but it's still not flood consistency because when I put my spatula in here, this is like, it has the, what's it called? Not stiff peaks, but like soft peaks. Yeah, that's it. And when I leave it to sit, it does not flatten itself out. It just kind of stays with those shapes. So let's add a few more drops. 1, 2, 3. So again, not a full 1/4 teaspoon. So at this point, I've added around an actual 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a drop or 2 more, but not much, not much. Icing is a funny thing. It's just so easy to change the consistency of it with just a very small amount of water. All right, it's getting smoother. Now at this point, if I let it sit, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So this did flatten out completely at 25 seconds with, it took some jiggling. So I could use this as a flood consistency because it does flatten eventually, but that's way too much time in my opinion for what I'm doing here. So let's add a few more drops. So that was maybe like another 4 drops of water, about 1/8 of a teaspoon maybe. I think it was about half of my little 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon here. I'm scraping all the sides off and the bottom as I'm doing this to make sure that I'm incorporating all the icing into the little, or all the water into all the icing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is still taking too long. 5 more drops. I like about a 15-second flood consistency if I'm doing the outlining and flooding with one consistency. That seems to work pretty well. I've done it with less, more like 8 to 10 seconds, and it tends to run off the edge of the cookie when it's that liquidy. All right, let's see what I've got going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Still not doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, here we go again. Added some more drops of water. Still feels pretty thick when I'm mixing it. I'm not sure that we're there yet, but we'll count it again and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is like without any shaking or jiggling at all. It was almost completely flat in 20 seconds. I'm just gonna add just a couple more drops of water because I want it to be closer to 15 seconds. I liked the consistency that it was on these cookies where I didn't have to do hardly any jiggling at all. I liked that it smoothed itself out as I was squeezing it onto the cookie. That's really nice. It makes my job easier and I like it. So this could be it. Now I have seen people talk about how when you have the right consistency, it's going to kind of blob and ribbon. And this is not, well, there it's ribboning a little bit there. So it still seems pretty thick. I think I might water it down just a little bit more even. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so it's still not quite a 15-second because it wasn't completely smooth at 15 seconds. They say that with practice, you get better at this and you can start to get a feel for the right consistency and you don't necessarily have to keep counting every time. I am not there yet. My icing consistencies are all over the place. I try to figure it out and I think I'm starting to get a handle on it, but it is a little difficult. All right, let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So at 20 seconds, it's pretty much there. It is ribboning more now. When I pull it up, it drops and ribbons a little bit. I might add just a couple more drops just to get it all the way to one more. That 15-second. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, this is good. It's pretty much completely smooth at 15 seconds. And if I do the drop, blob, and ribbon, it is pretty much doing that. So I think this is a good consistency, and it's not too runny. I hope it will work for both doing outline and flood. Okay, so we're done with the water bowl. Let's see if I can. I will put my heat sealer over here on the table so that I can seal it. You can see, you can watch. And I have set it at number 2. Now for filling these bags, You always want to get a cup. Put your hand in, boop, fold the top over, and then fill the icing bag. And one thing that I have come to like about my bowls is that they always make the right amount of icing that fits into one of my icing bags. So if I make it in one of these bowls, if this is what I use to mix up my colors, I always know I will be able to fit it in one icing bag. Because I had considered, you know, mixing up in like other size bowls that I have, like mixing bowls, larger sizes, whatever, but then I realized that these cereal bowls are exactly the right size. They're small enough and they have just the right capacity that I always know that it will fit into the bag. Okay. Now I'll pull this out. Smooth it out. Stick it on the top of the, kind of smooth it out along here. And then, what just happened? Why did that not? Usually, oh, it's not plugged in all the way. There. I hadn't stuck it all the way in the plug. Okay. So what it does is it heats for just a second and then it clicks and then it's done. Click, done. And I'm gonna do a second one just because there was a little bit of icing residue, and just in case that prevented it from getting a complete seal, I did a double seal because I don't want it squeezing out the top of the bag. And that's it. This is so easy. And it's also not hot, except for when you actually are pushing it down, which is nice. So what I'm gonna do now is I only have one icing transfer left, one little star. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my other icing transfers. Hopefully they're dried out enough that they'll be ready to use. Right, so I don't know if you can really see, but they're a mess. This has dried out enough that I can touch it and it feels dry to the touch. It was super wet before, but now it's hopefully usable. It's still left a wet residue when I just moved it. Oh, so the other thing that's different is the tipless icing bags apparently only have one seam, whereas these have two. And I try to make a nice straight cut across there. I don't know how well I do with that. Okay, back at it. Let's finish these up. And let's see how my new icing consistency works out. So far, so good. Looking pretty. Perfect.
So, we'll start.
Well, I ended up getting all 22 cookies done. So that's amazing. Obviously some of them cracked up a little bit. All right, let's see. I'm gonna arrange these a little bit. And there they are, my finished cookies. Lucky Charms. And I will take some pictures of all the finished cookies together and post them here at the end of the video. But thank you for watching. If you made it this whole time, I don't even know how long this took, but it was a long time. So if you watched this whole thing, oh, I can see 1 hour and 10 minutes on this one, plus however long the first one was. So over an hour of cookie decorating with the Sweet Sugar Baker. If you watched this whole thing, thank you very much. And I hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can watch all my videos, and hopefully I will improve as I'm going along and you can watch the whole process and learn along with me. All right, happy St. Patrick's Day. Bye.
Hello.